coming up, and Hunt's photo has been asking us if we would be interested in any workshops, and they've got a whole list of bird photography workshops. And I was just wondering if I set one up, would anybody be interested in participating? Just getting ready for migrations coming in here pretty soon.
This would be an extra meeting, not on a regular Tuesday.
Yeah, it'd be free. But I don't want to have him set it up and then have nobody show up. There's one. Just raise your hand. Two.
Or type in chat, yes, I can count them up.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So there's enough people that it would be worth our while, I think. Yeah, with Shorebird, and the Ketchmack Bay Shorebird Festival is on this year, just so that everybody knows. I saw the announcement today. I don't know about the one in Cordova, but
Well, I don't know if the festival is on, but I'm going over there, so I'll be there.
in Cordova?
Yep.
Yeah, Cordova is on the exact same dates, and it is also hybrid, part virtual, part traditional.
For the Homer or the Cordova?
Both are scheduled to be the same way, both on the exact same dates.
Okay.
And we understand the ferry is actually going to be active during that period, so you can get to Cordova via ferry if you want.
Oh, well, that's good news.
Yeah.
It saves you a long swim. That's great.
Yeah. Or having to rent a car when you get there, which may be cheaper than taking the ferry these days.
I only have one announcement that I can think of, and that's next month for our meeting, we celebrate Alaska Wild 2021. And our speaker is also the judge of the competition this year. And he lives in Toronto or near Toronto. So he's 4 hours ahead of us, and he's graciously agreed to do the meeting with us, but he would like to start at 10 p.m. his time, not 11 p.m. his time, which means our meeting's going to be 1 hour earlier, starting at 6 p.m. And we'll put him first on the schedule, and then we'll do the slideshows and awards after that.
So he can go to bed.
Yes, it's after his bedtime, but he's willing to do it for us. Anybody else have anything they want to announce?
I do.
Or-
So I have a couple of things. So on next Tuesday night, Alaska Photographic Center is having their Photo Tuesday, and the speakers will be Carol and Tom Turner from Field Theory, and they will be talking about their individual projects, artistic collaborations, and their new business, Field Theory. Also, Hal Gage started a First Mondays, we're calling it, Art Talk series. We had the first one last Monday, and it was a success. What he's doing is he's having 4 artists present their work, and they each get 15 minutes, and it doesn't necessarily all have to be photographers. I think there's a couple of painters and some sculptors involved as well. And APC is actually sponsoring it by letting Hal use the paid Zoom subscription. So the next one will be April, I guess that's 5th. And the speakers will be Ellen Davis, John DeLapp, Oscar Avelenda Cruz, sorry, I totally butchered that, and Jane Terzis. If you're interested, you can contact either Hal or I guess me, and I'll direct you to Hal.
Thanks, Gail.
Yeah, the link will be on the website too.
Oh, on APC's website?
Yes.
Okay.
Gail, do you want to say anything about Alaska Wild opening?
Jen's gonna take that.
So we just have a few dates to highlight for everybody. The participants, if you want your signature on your photo shelter, we need that by next Monday, the 15th. So you can email Gail or myself or Margaret. Information is on the website and the newsletter. And then also the next 3 Saturdays. So the 13th and 20th are drop-off dates for the 2021 Alaska Wild photos. And we're collecting those at the Summit Spice and Tea parking lot between 11 and 1. And if you can't do that, to go ahead and make special arrangements with us and we'll work it out. And then the 3rd Saturday, the 27th, will be the takedown day for the 2020 show that's at Summit. So we will need volunteers for that. And we're asking if anybody does not want their photo from 2020 to go to Cordova this summer, that they need to pick up their photos on the 27th as well. To keep this short, we're putting all the information on the website and the newsletter. So just keep your eyes out for all of that. And we're excited about this year's show. There was really great photos coming in. So, and congratulations to everybody.
Anybody else have anything? Then Mike, are you ready to take over?
Oh, really? Okay, I guess
It's your
I'll wake
turn.
up then. My turn?
Hang on.
Yeah,
Hang on,
before I
I'm
start
getting
speaking,
there.
I will go ahead and set up my screen here.
No, not that one.
Are you
You
still
should-
working on it, Morgan?
You should be able to share at this point.
All right, let's see what we got here. All right. So your kind of messy screen you see here. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of things here. Okay, did that. Going to minimize all that. Okay, I think I'm finally getting this down. All right, so does everybody see the whywindy.com screen now, Margaret?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for inviting me here. I am just still kind of overwhelmed at all the support I get from the people up in Alaska. So I really appreciate that. It's going to be an exciting summer for me this year. So finally, with many people getting vaccinated and travel turning back to normal, I'm coming back up in early June, doing a 10-day trip on the Hula Hula River, pack rafting trip. Then Lori and I fly back down, and we have 30 days to hike 550 miles through Oregon. And then we come back up to Alaska in early August, and I have 3 sold out workshops and a couple of private tours. And then come back down to New Mexico on the end of September. And then I have a week-long workshop here in New Mexico that I'm doing. And then we're going finally back east. This trip should have taken a year and a half ago. We're going back east to see family. And then we have a river permit to do the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon, launching October 31st. And then followed by another workshop in November. So I'm sort of still in my quiet time here. But I certainly always look forward to coming back up to the north, and we're totally stoked to get back to an Arctic river trip, because I haven't done that since, I think the last river trip was with Kathy on the Tatchinashini in 2007 in Alaska. It's been way too long. So tonight, we're going to talk about windy, and it's going to be review. I know Gail and Alan and Jen and maybe some others that I'm missing. Margaret took my, well, there were 2 workshops I gave, or webinars I gave for ASONP. There was the Going Pro, and then there's also the Using the Windy. And I'm sorry, at this time of night, I can't remember exactly who attended what. But I know there's some folks here that have taken that, and this will be quite a review for you. And I'd be interested, since there's only a few of us here, there's what, maybe 15, 16 people here?
28.
28, okay. Well, I certainly would be interested in hearing people's experiences, especially those who have taken it from me. It's getting quite popular. I've done this for Arizona highways, and I'm now writing a very detailed weather blog for not just photographers, but for adventure people through one of my gear sponsors, Hyperlight Mountain Gear. It's a nice kind of ultralight backpacking and tent company out of Maine. And they hired me. I'm actually working and doing detailed weather blog posts for them. So if you want more of this stuff, you can look for that there at Hyperlight Mountain Gear. In fact, this is one of their tents here that you see in this photograph. So obviously we can't teach people how to fully use windy in an hour. And if I remember correctly, we're still doing member slides tonight. Is that correct, Margaret?
If we have some, yes.
Okay, all right. So I'll make sure that I don't go too long. In fact, after an hour, you should like clear your throat or chime in. So I'm not running on forever here. So I'm going to try to do this in 2 parts here. We're going to do a little keynote presentation and then go live to the Windy app itself. And I'll show you a few things in a live demonstration. So the main reason why I use this is exactly what this top sentence alludes to, is that I can forecast clouds that are favorable for photography. Of course, we all know what those are, the pretty pink and orange glowing clouds that we might get at sunrise and sunset. The Windy app or the website, you don't even need the app. You just simply go to the windy.com website and you have access to the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting. They're one of 2 operational global models that forecast for the entire globe twice a day. They are considered to be as accurate, if not more accurate, in mountain areas in North America than some of our own models are. I do use Windy in conjunction with what National Weather Service is telling me. And what I like about Windy is I can store some of my favorite locations. And I have a bunch of them. I just added one. It is El Chaltén in Argentina, because we're looking at doing a Patagonia fall trip next April. So I'm starting to monitor what happens now this spring or this fall to get an idea of what I might expect when I go there next year. So this is what Windy does. It's not it's not a group of meteorologists. It's simply an app that displays graphical forecasts from the main forecast models, which the first 2 here are our own global forecast system, North American mesoscale, and the European. And from the graphical displays, you can get detailed site-specific forecasts, which are very, very helpful for me. They've been instrumental in making what I would call surgical strikes to get the best light for photography, not just in Alaska, but in the Grand Canyon, in the Moab area this winter. So I use it quite a bit to try to target when is the optimal time to go to some of my favorite places. So before you really use it, you have to know what you're looking for. And what I'm looking for are the right clouds, the ones that produce the most interesting textures visually, and what also produced the better colors visually. And there's 3 of them. The really high clouds, middle clouds, 7 to 16,000 feet, and really, really low clouds. So this picture here of I think it's Allegheny Slough near Cordova, has morning fog and stratus clouds here that are cutting through the Chugach Mountains. And above it are beautiful cellular alto cumulus clouds. We're going to talk a little bit more about those. And if anybody has any questions at any time, just go ahead. I'll let Margaret be the moderator. Just you can interrupt me and say, hey, so-and-so has a question.
Okay.
And be glad to go ahead and answer that. So we're lucky, right? All of us have probably been at some point, been up to Denali. This is from Broad Pass, right along the Parks Highway. And a lot of folks have probably shot from Wonder Lake or Reflection Pond. And with Denali being 18,000 feet above Wonder Lake, the sun comes up there first. In fact, in early July, I remember all the years that I worked up there, the sun would hit the top of the mountain at 3:30 a.m. and it would take 2 hours to get down to the north end of Wonder Lake from when it first hits the peak. So we all know from that sunsets and sunrises are calculated from an optical horizon, which is basically 15 miles. You can see about 15 miles before the Earth curvature will not allow you to see anymore. Well, that's different when you have a 20,000 foot rock jutting up into the air. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because that's basically what happens with clouds when you see them light up pre-sunrise or post-sunset. The sun is up where those clouds are, just like it's up at the highest elevations Denali. And that's what we're looking for to photograph. So Cirrus is the universal, reliable, colorful photo cloud. It forms at 17 to 35,000 feet in ridges of high pressure, which are warm air aloft. And in the mid latitudes, they form closer to the 35,000 foot range. In the polar latitudes, maybe closer to the 17 to 20,000 foot range. So cirrus clouds are these thin white clouds here that comprise all this area in this photo. They're always white in the daytime. And these are the clouds that most reliably turn colors at sunrise and sunset. The problem is that they're largely ignored by forecasters. When I was actively doing aviation forecasting, scattered cirrus was operationally insignificant. Didn't mean anything for surface weather. It might shave a degree or two off the high temperature. It might prolong the mixing of winds for a half an hour or so. But other than that, they really mean much. But they mean a lot to photographers, right? Like who would want to miss this? This is just scattered high clouds up at Weiner Lake, up in the Matanuska Valley. And I saw this forecasted by Windy when we were up there last fall. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to run up there at sunrise and try to capture some color. The forecast for that day was mostly sunny, which it was. A couple hours after this picture, sun was up over the mountains. We did some fall color shooting, but the National Weather Service doesn't forecast for photographers' needs. They should. I know that they should, but they don't. So we have to learn to do that ourselves. So basically what you're seeing is ice crystals. Ice crystals bouncing around the warmer colors of the visible spectrum. And that's what gives us the beautiful colors that we see. This is over Alsek Lake. This is the leading edge of a front that came in and rained for 11 days on us while we waited in Dry Bay for another clear day. That was many, many years ago. So cirrus clouds are always white. This is a shot in Utah at Zion National Park. And I stood up on a hill above the Cable Mountain Lodge, took a picture about a half hour before sunset. Sunset comes along, the light goes flat, people leave. 8 minutes later, the sky color explodes as predicted. The problem is that there's no magic formula that calculates exactly when the clouds will light up from the time the sun sets until the time it gets dark. It all depends on your latitude. It all depends on the height of the cloud, right? Because what you're looking at up here is underlit clouds. The sun's below the horizon where you are, but it's still above the horizon where the clouds are. And we all know that Alaska can be either quite wonderful or quite frustrating, depending on what your perspective, what your situation is. It just takes the sun so much longer to clear mountain ranges, clear ridges, and it takes our ascension angle and descension angle is so much shallower up at 60 north than it is down here in New Mexico. So even more reason, so a lot of people will shoot a sunset, last light in the peaks, sun goes behind the mountain, 20 minutes later, nothing's happening. 40 minutes later, the sky explodes. So down around 10 to 15,000 feet, mainly, are middle clouds. And the most photogenic of middle clouds are altocumulus and specifically lenticular type clouds, which are in a family of clouds we call mountain wave, that are just pretty clouds produced by big mountain ranges like the Wrangell St. Elias. So at our latitude, most mid clouds are also almost all ice crystals. So they turn pretty colors. Here's an example of some fair weather altocumulus clouds in Kenai fjords. And the reason why you're not seeing a sunset picture of these clouds at this location is because they disappeared by the time sunset came. So the good thing about Alaska is that we have mountains that help us gauge the height of the clouds. So basically, long story short, is clouds that are well above the mountain are the ones that are most likely going to turn pretty colors and light up. Here's a good example here. Altocumulus clouds, incoming weak system in the fall, and the sky explodes a color just west of Girdwood. This is early July in the Alaska Range, and the northern sky glows for 4 hours as sunset just kind of morphs into sunrise up there, really. And so we have lenticular clouds and other mid clouds that were glowing for 2 to 3 hours. Happens in the winter too. The past two images have both been images of mid-level clouds, mountain wave clouds, lenticulars are all kind of the same thing that predictably light up when there's not much below it. So if you have low clouds that are blocking your view, you can't see them. And if there's nothing where the sun is, then chances are these mid and high level clouds are going to turn color. So here's one image here in this show that's not from Alaska. This is from New Mexico. Same dynamic happens here though. So not overcast skies, just scattered clouds. Broken is like 60 to 70% coverage. Your high clouds are the only or the most predominant cloud in the sky. You got clear skies where the sun's going to set. And in some situations, if you have an approaching front from the west at sunrise, your mid and high level clouds almost always turn color. This is a lot more predictable than you think.
Either way, I don't know. Why don't you have one?
I hear some background noise. So keep going.
I got it.
Okay. All right. So we have low clouds. This is some stratus clouds. Alaska has an abundance of low-level moisture, as if nobody didn't know that already. And a lot of times it gets trapped. It gets trapped under temperature inversions. It gets trapped and packed into mountain valleys and up against mountain ranges. So the good thing, though, is if you see clouds below the mountaintops, they're low clouds, and they might look pretty good when the sun is still up above the horizon. But as soon as the sun goes below the horizon, low clouds are going to almost always turn gray and not deliver much color. And believe it or not, stratus, the low clouds, are clouds that are associated more with high pressure than they are with low pressure. Pacific high pressure, Arctic high pressure can give you prolonged periods of low clouds. And I know people who live in Anchorage for a long time know that, because that's clear and cold weather, high pressure, a lot of fog at Cook Inlet, sloshing around the Anchorage Bowl. Here's a picture where some of the stratus clouds are still lit by the sun, and others where the sun's blocked by a ridge go into complete shadow. This was up on Rendezvous Ridge last August. A little overnight camping trip we did up there. One of the indicators of low clouds, of stratus clouds, is that the edges of the sun or the moon are very sharp and clearly defined. So here are some low clouds trapped at Spencer Lake. Don't mean anything. They don't indicate a storm. In fact, these usually form in the wake of storms. It will be no different than raining and then on a dirt road. Most of the dirt road dries off, except for you have a few puddles that you drive through. So in the grand, big atmospheric scale, big storm system moves through, it rains everywhere. And then in its wake, there's these puddles of low-level moisture that are trapped in different places. Spencer is one of those places. Portage Valley is certainly another one of those places. And it's just a little puddle that gives us some nice, soft, light softening clouds in the morning. And every once in a while, we all know that Seward has a very cold body of water next to it, Resurrection Bay. And that cold body of water can produce a lot of low clouds there, and sometimes you can hike above them. And this is one of those days where it was probably in the upper 50s in Seward and gray and kind of overcast. And we were hiking up on the Harding Icefield Trail, just sweating to death because we're up above this cool layer. We're in a temperature inversion. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how following windy made a big difference for me. And these are all recent examples. Obviously, we're always looking for the days that Denali is clear. And we did something like leave Anchorage at 3:30 in the morning to go up to Denali View South, specifically because I was fairly confident that this day would deliver this kind of view. The only thing that the models did not forecast is because is a shallow area of fog over the Chilitna River, probably because all the forecast models have a minimum resolution. So any weather element that's really too small doesn't get picked up by the models, and shallow river valley fog is one of those things. But I was glad it was there because I think it added a little depth to the photo. Obviously, clear nights, we're doing aurora chasing. So windy is a great application to use to see if it coincides with aurora viewing, like I think is going to happen this Friday night. Talk more about that later. So this is a screenshot of a windy forecast that I took during the class we ran for Alaskans back in last October, November. And this scenario does not happen that often. I would say maybe once or twice a month, if we're lucky, we get something like this. But this is showing an approaching frontal system coming in after a long period of clear skies. The graphical picture you see up here is a depiction of where these clouds were forecast to be at sunrise on November 5th. If you follow this X here, you just follow my cursor. This is kind of a timeline. And I stopped here at 9 a.m. on Thursday, November 5th. So this forecast was made on a Sunday. That was the data time. And they were saying on a Thursday morning that the leading edge of a big cloud shield, mid and high level clouds, was going to come into Anchorage near sunrise. That same scenario was depicted down here. This is called the Meteogram. And this gives you a lot of detailed information on the thickness and the height of clouds as they approach and leave a particular area. And this forecast was produced by this model right here, the global forecast system. So I told people that this was a day that looked very promising. So that morning showed the big picture, the big scenario, large low over here in the Western Bering, large occluded and cold front here, leading edge of that coming into the Anchorage area. And one of the things that Alaska, I wasn't there, but one of the things Alaska has that I love, that I wish I could see more down here, are aviation webcams. Aviation webcams are not designed to give photographic quality imagery. I got ahead of myself a little bit here. So this was the forecast a couple of hours out. This was the verifying satellite image. So if I woke up at 7 a.m. and I saw this infrared picture showing very high and cold clouds coming into the Kenai Peninsula, the Anchorage Bowl, South Central, but still clear out here in Prince William Sound where the sun's going to rise, tells me to get out of bed. I looked at the webcams, and I mean, this is pretty amazing for a webcam picture. When you see this kind of color on a cheap webcam, you go, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what I could do with my camera. So this was the view about an hour before sunrise that day. Here's the local time here, 8:29, November 5th, about an hour before sunrise. And then you're seeing this color in all directions from Anchorage. Also at Portage. So a very similar thing happened, I think 2 years ago. Third week of September, we had a couple of nice days, clear days. And I'm going to go backwards just a little bit. And I saw this scenario coming in. And I verified on the National Weather Service forecast because I'm looking for transitions. One of the transitions that I really look for is a change in weather at sunrise. That raises the meter. Hey, there could be colorful skies. Go out and get that. The other transition is clearing storms at sunset. Let's talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So we saw this transition coming. So we did a quick overnighter at Lost Lake, hiked in about 7 miles, set up camp on the tundra, clear skies, knowing that the forecast for the next day was rain by 10 a.m. They were a little bit off. It didn't start raining until about 11 or noon. But to me, that was insignificant. The significant part was I expected to wake up to that at sunrise. And that's why we were there. Layered altostratus, altocumulus, red sky morning, sailor take warning. There's a lot of merit in that saying. But it is only applicable in the mid latitudes. And it's only applicable if you have something approaching from the west. Anchorage, 60 north, right? Like we're right on that northern edge of the mid latitudes. Tropical latitudes, equator to 30 north, mid latitudes 30 to 60, polar latitudes 60 and on up to the pole. So that's okay. In late September, we were still in the mid latitudes. We still had storm coming in from the west. So this red sky and morning was applicable. Got some nice color up there. By the time we left camp, low clouds, marine layer was already forming. The altostratus was thickening up. The atmosphere is moistening from the top down. And by the time we got back to the car and started driving up along Kenai Lake and into Moose Pass, it was raining. So with that, are there any questions on Cloud ID or any comments, any experiences people want to share before I go ahead and move into a live demo on Wendy?
Were you a forecaster with the Weather Service?
Air Force.
Air Force.
Yes.
Okay. I was a forecaster with the Weather Service.
Who am I speaking with?
Craig Bauer.
Craig. Well, it's nice to have you on board, Craig.
Thanks.
Where were you? Were you like at the Anchorage office?
Yeah, I was Anchorage office in Juneau also.
Did you know Jim Green?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, from Willowa Publishing.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah, we were friends
worked
for a
with
long
him.
time.
I worked with him for several years before he left to start his publishing outfit.
Right. So our wives worked together. So we were both photographing and weather forecasting and cross-country skiing.
Ah, okay. Very good.
All right, let's see if I can pull this off here. Oh, never mind. Okay. Hold on, folks. We'll get this right here. Just trying to figure out why. Okay. Try this again. All right. There. Yay. Everybody still awake?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the Windy app, and I suggest people start using this again on their laptops. And I know there's probably gonna be lots of questions about, well, hey, wait a minute, I tried this, and how do you get to this parameter? How do you get to that parameter? The best thing to do if you haven't done so already is to sign up for a free account. And that way you can start storing your favorite locations. And as you can see here in Alaska, I have several, wherever these hearts appear are some of my favorite locations. So I have Lost Lake, I got Bear Valley in Anchorage, I've got Elmendorf, 6 Mile Lake, Sheep Mountain Lodge, McLaren River Lodge, which I go to a lot. Ermine Hill, it's one of my favorite places to climb up to and take pictures of Denali. And of course, Denali itself. I have like the summit of Denali on my favorites because I want to know if there's going to be any clouds blocking the view of that from here or from Denali View South. So to try to keep this simple, again, and not just try to teach the entirety of the Windy app here in a monthly meeting. I'm just going to go over a few quick things that are my favorite things to do. The problem with Windy is that you have to set up your parameters like almost every time you open the app. So I just kind of leave it on. I'm in Firefox right now. I just kind of leave it on there, so I don't have to go over here to this right-hand column and keep setting up all the layers that I want to see. So as a very minimum, I try to parse out my clouds because it makes a difference for photography if you have high clouds only, medium clouds only, or low clouds only. So remember, for photography, right, your most predictable and reliable color cloud are going to be high clouds. So that's what I have as a minimum. One of my favorite features on here is to do the new snow forecast. This is immensely helpful. It's been immensely helpful down here in the lower 48 because it's helped me to figure out when to go to my favorite places in the desert, like Zion, like the Grand Canyon, like Moab, after a fresh snow. So it's pretty easy. If you look down here in the right-hand corner of the picture, the forecast model that I'm using here is the European model. And I can just simply go over here to the lower left-hand corner and just start making tabs at different times and just see what kind of snowfall that the European model is forecasting. As you can see in the next 3 to 5 days, if you use the color scale, it's kind of crude here, but it's looking like the Anchorage Bowl, right? Here's Anchorage right here in this green color, is getting between 4 and 20 inches of snow per the European model. I could compare that to the global model and see that they are forecasting somewhat less for this same time period, but nonetheless, they are still forecasting snowfall to take place in the Anchorage Bowl, with the brunt of it taking place here, as usual, over the windward side of Prince William Sound and the Kenai Peninsula. Go figure, that's where all the glaciers are. So that's one of the things I like to check first. Then I usually go to my clouds. And what this is here, when you just click on clouds over here in the right-hand bar, it's going to tell you, I'm going to turn off the streamlines here, just go with the surface pressure pattern. So we have clouds, we have 3-hour accumulated precipitation. So this is helpful to me in ways, because obviously if you're in these areas here, or you see over Kodiak Island, you see over Cook Inlet, you see from Homer, it's got a lot of color. These aren't just clouds. These aren't high clouds. These are clouds that are thick down to the lower levels of the atmosphere. They're producing precipitation. So then what I do next is I just like to take my cursor, and you can see there's a timeline down here in the bottom, and I just start moving along and seeing that we have a pretty typical pattern we call the filling Prince William Sound low. That's forecast to come up in here and basically stall before it moves out. And when that happens, it usually produces snow in the Anchorage Bowl. And that's why they're forecasting that. And I can just get a feel for what the clouds are doing over time. And once again, there's a couple things I'm looking for here. I'm looking for transitions around sunrise and sunset. So as I continue to do this, I see that Friday is a transition day. And things are starting to really thin out here in the morning. Western Cook Inlet. And I notice there's still some cloud cover lingering in the morning, but there's also some breaks over here in Prince William Sound. So then what I can do is I can parse out the different types of clouds. I can come over here to high clouds, see there's almost nothing. Come over here to medium clouds. And I can see there's a band of medium clouds that are over Kinnick Arm and Turnagain Arm down here on the western Kenai. And I can come down here to my scale and I can see what the coverage here is in this area. And as you can tell here, just matching color by the green. So the green here, there were like less than 50% coverage for Anchorage, forecast for Friday morning. I can also click my favorite here, one of my favorite places. And that's not what I wanted, so hold on just a second. There. That also gives me an exact percentage of the mid clouds forecast for Friday morning at 8 a.m. over Anchorage, 54%. And go to my low clouds, 57%. So this is a marginal situation, perhaps, for sunrise. There might be some color, like when the sun comes up above the horizon, there might be some nice orange underlit low clouds along Turnagain Arm Friday morning. And as the day goes on, we see that there's continued clearing. One of the things I also see is a lot of lines close together. So if you're used to reading a topographical map and seeing contour lines and knowing that where contour lines are close together, the terrain is really steep. These lines of equal pressure here you see are called isobars, right? They're different from lunabars. They're isobars, lines of equal pressure. And where they're close together usually means where you'll have more wind. So any pretty snow that falls here tomorrow, Thursday, might get blown off the trees by the time it clears. I don't know. I know there's plenty of areas that are protected, but it's good to see snowstorms that produce snow and then clear. I think that might create some favorable photo situations. So what I did here was Friday evening around 5 o'clock. What time's sun setting now? About 6:30?
7, I think it's a little later than that.
A little later than that? Okay, well, let's just put it at 7. So 7 p.m. tomorrow, or Friday, we've got all kinds of, I'm gonna go back to regular clouds for a minute. All right, so we all know the sun's gonna set over here to the west. Open, clear skies here on the west side of Cook Inlet. I'm gonna parse my clouds out. High clouds are non-existent. Middle clouds, gone. So the only thing that's left, according to the global model forecast here you see highlighted here, will be some lingering low clouds, right? Trapped, packed in against the mountains with clear skies to the west. So that might create some interesting low cloud scenario at sunset on Friday, but that's what one model is forecasting. The other model is not agreeing with that. The other model is saying, the European model is probably saying that there's too much wind and too much downsloping air from the Alaska range that it's just going to be clear. So either way, area wide, south central area wide, it looks like Friday night, right? 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight Saturday morning. Got two models that are showing basically clear skies all throughout south central Alaska. And that is coinciding with pretty active forecast. So I know March 13th is Saturday. These forecasts are done on Zulu time. So March 13th is actually the night of March 12th. So long story short is, if I were up there and I was looking at this and I was saying, gosh, I don't have to work. It's the weekend. We got new snow. We got clearing skies. We got aurora coming out. Get your butts out there, right? I mean, it'd be clear, basically, up in Denali, Talkeetna area, down here in Homer. Maybe you want to fly to Kodiak. That's the way I would use that. I'm going to go back to the European model here. I'm going to say, okay, this is great. Got clear skies, got cold weather. We can see that, right? Minus 11 for Healy at midnight, 3 degrees in Talkeetna. It's mid-March, kind of cold. So I'm going to keep just going on and just seeing what's coming down the pike. So I see another advancing frontal system, perhaps. Looks like it's a lot weaker than the last one. Coming in Sunday evening. So unfortunately, when you have clouds advancing from the direction that the sun is going to set, not very promising for a sunset. Clouds will be too thick on the western horizon based on this forecast. I'll compare it to the other model. And I see that both models are forecasting pretty much cloudy skies with thick clouds to the west on Sunday. So not much promise there for any colorful evening clouds on Sunday. Generally speaking, when I'm getting more than 5 days out from the forecast time, I will take note of something if I think it's of interest to me, like an approaching front at sunrise, perhaps. And then I will follow it in successive days to see if there's consistency from run to run and from model to model. But based on what I'm seeing now, right, I'm going all the way back to current time tonight, Tuesday night. All right, got a low coming up, dump some snow on us. Both models are saying Friday night, possibly even Thursday night, very thin cloud cover here on the western side of the Susitna Valley, but definitely Friday night, right? We got both global models and the, which is interesting. This is the North American mesoscale model. And what it does is it doesn't forecast out as far, but it has a finer resolution. So I think its resolution is only 5 kilometers, where the global is 22, the European is 9. And they're showing a little more cloud cover in the Susitna Valley for Friday night at midnight. But they don't go into Friday. So they're only ending right at Friday night, midnight. So long story short is I got 2 models here. That are showing clear skies, area wide, Friday night. I'm pretty confident it's going to happen. I mean, I would plan a trip to go shoot Aurora if I were up there.
Hey, Mike, can you answer a question?
No, of course, I'll try.
Well, I have 2 questions there in relation to the forecast models. The first question is, do you have one that you see as being more accurate, your go-to model? And the other has to do with, say, 3 days out, how accurate are these models for you?
That's a really hard question to ask because a lot of that depends on the pattern, right? So the Windy is a Swiss, the guy who developed this is Swiss. So his default model is the European. So that's usually my default model. But I'm not going to trust it solely without looking at the other one first. In the short term, yeah, so in the short term, without going into a lot of detail, there's another model I like to look at. It's called the High Resolution Rapid Recycle. It's not available on Windy. I go to another application to look at what that does. That only takes me out to 15 to 18 hours, and it's not available in Alaska. So to answer your question accurately, I am basically comparing.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Sure. I'll show you one other thing here. There's just so many things. Like you can just like bombard your brain with information. There's another angle to look at this. The graphical big picture is the easiest. And as you can see, I'm pretty zoomed in here in Alaska, but I can hit this. I can get a huge picture, right, of what's happening over a larger scale. So when I'm really interested in an area though, and for the purpose of what we're doing here tonight, it just seemed like it was better for me to zoom in like this. But let's just say I'm interested in let's go into Sheep Mountain Lodge to shoot Aurora. So I can get a detailed forecast for this location. And it can give me things that I can understand. It can give me little cloud icons up here with precip. It gives me temperatures, and dew points and wind direction and speed. What I can do is I can make this bigger so people can see it. So if my time of interest is Friday night, like Friday night and Saturday morning, I'm going to go up here and shoot aurora. Gives me an idea, right? You saw how tight that pressure gradient was. They're looking at northeast winds, 13, 11, 12 miles an hour. Temperatures -5. Ooh, that's some cold wind chill. One of the other things I like to do is hit this compare button. And this gives me 4 or 5 models to look at. And I can see that many of them are forecasting clear skies again, late Friday night, Saturday morning. The one model, another model I really like is a Swiss model called Meteoblue. And in remote mountain areas, like I'm going to climb a peak in the Cascades or the Rockies, if I'm going to go to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, I'm going to tend to use these guys for my temperature forecast. They're going to be a little bit more accurate, I think, than some of the other models. But as you can see, if you're going to be out there at midnight at Sheep Mountain Lodge this Saturday, right? The European is saying you're going to have a -11 temperature. The global model is saying -11. Meteoblue is saying -13. Yeah, those are all pretty close. I'm sorry, the one model here was the European. The European was the warmest. The European was saying midnight, Friday, -5. Global's -13. This Ion here is a German model. It's new. I haven't really studied that one a whole lot. Basically, I got 3 models that are saying it's going to be around -11, -12 up there at midnight. I'm pretty much going to go with that. Okay. I think that I will go ahead and open the floor to questions or just end it there and see what people think. So who's going to go out? Who's going to go out and chase some aurora this weekend?
I think I'm going to give it a try.
All right. So Alan, have you been playing with this? I know you took the weather, my
Yeah,
windy seminar.
A little bit. I haven't really gotten out too much this winter yet, so I haven't been using as much, but I know last fall I was using it a fair amount.
Okay. So you getting you think you're kind of getting a little more confident, your cloud ID, like, yeah, these are definitely high clouds.
Yeah.
These are mid clouds. Okay.
You know, taking your webinar definitely helped in that. It definitely showed me what to look for, especially if I'm planning sunrise, sunset.
Right. So we all know this is an inexact science. Sometimes they don't get it right. Forecasting clouds for photography color is a little bit out of the normal range of their operational interest. But I mean, I could just tell you from my own use that my success rate has gone up a lot. It's not perfect. It never will be, but I'm just saying it's gone up a lot. If you learn this stuff, I think it's pretty reliable.
The models have gotten a whole lot better in the past few years.
Absolutely.
Compared to what I worked with, I retired in 2006, and they have really improved since then.
They have. I left the weather station in '92, and we were using NGM and AVN models, and they were just printed out on big fax sheets of paper. I'd never thought I would see this level of detailed information that was just available for anyone who wanted to learn it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mike, Bonnie put in the chat, can you demo choosing a favorite site?
Sure. Demo choosing a favorite site. Okay. Yeah, let's try that. Let's do this. Let me think for a minute here. All right, I'll do this. See if I remember how to do it. So I'm gonna blow up this map really big. That's what's really cool here. Is that at some point you just start getting detailed topographical information, right? So let's just say, I don't know where I am, but let's just say I'm gonna go camping, sea kayaking right there. We'll just let this render for a minute here. So on the lower 48, you can do this with all kinds of trails and Forest Service roads. It's just absolutely amazing to me, the detail and level of the topographical maps they put on this program. So what I'm trying to do here, just bear with me for a minute, everybody. Yeah, I know it's not safe to go in here, so no one needs to remind me that, hey, Michael, you can't go in there. Let's just pretend there's no tsunami danger here, and I want to go camp at Viewpoint Beach here in Harriman Fjord, right there. So I can go right there and I can say, I want a forecast, exact forecast for that location. And there it is. And then I say, you know, I really want to monitor the forecast for that place. So I'll just go hit this little heart up here and I add it to my favorites. And there it is. I'll have to go in there and change the name. If I hit my little hamburger menu, takes me to all the favorites I have stacked in here. So I've got, this is the Grand Canyon Tanner. This is Mount Chuckson east of Bellingham, Washington. This is Maine. Here's my Anchorage thing here. I have the actual summit of Denali is one of my favorites. In fact, if I hit on that, just do that for a minute, it takes me there. And if I scroll all the way to the end, it'll tell me my altitude is 20,221 feet. It'll tell me the coordinates. It'll give me sunrise and sunset and all kinds of weather information. So that answered the question about how to pick a favorite?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, I haven't made any final decisions yet, but obviously there's a lot of detailed information here, and I recognize that some of it's dry and not as exciting as some other subjects, but as I've been getting some pretty positive results from it. So we are thinking of perhaps offering another Windy 4 Series webinar, probably in late April, early May, and we'll focus more on summer weather than winter weather conditions. And we'll obviously spend more time going through all the features of the app and how to use it to your advantage.
Thanks, Michael. That was a great presentation.
Thank you, Kathy. People are still awake?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
are posting all kinds of comments in the chat. You might want to look at that.
Okay, I don't see that.
I know, once you close this down, you should be.
Right.
Just go
Okay.
back.
So before I stop sharing my screen, it's any opportunity to ask another question. And for those of you who are interested, I'll do 1 minute of shameless self-promotion here. Tomorrow night at 7 Mountain, should be 5 p.m. in Alaska, I'm doing a free webinar, and it's Lighten Up. It's talking about how to do backcountry photography, how to pare down your gear, strategies on how to carry it, to go to all kinds of cool places far away from the road. So if you're interested in that subject matter, go ahead and join me again tomorrow at, it would be, I think 5 p.m. Alaska time, free webinar, Lighten Up.
And Michael, it's on the e-news that went out today.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay,
the links and everything are there. I'm already signed up, so I'll see you tomorrow night. And then
awesome.
I'll see you in a week.
In a week?
Well, 2 weeks, I guess.
Oh, yeah, down in Moab. Awesome. I look forward to that. Okay, let me see how I can get out. Here we go. I'm hitting stop share. I'm back. Okay.
So now you can see the chat. Well,
There we go. All right, awesome.
Alan, do we have member slides?
I do. And I'm getting ready to share my screen here now. So can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So these are Arnie's images. I don't know if she's online. I doubt it. Doesn't look like she is. So I'll just give a few seconds on each of these images. We've got 19 total images tonight.
Mm.
So good picture of an eagle. And let's see. Hopefully I can advance here.
Where's the fish?
Yeah.
We're so jaded.
Something's missing. There's a fish.
Oh, there's a fish.
Nice.
And another fish.
Yummy.
Not in Alaska.
No, the last ones were not. This one
No.
doesn't look like.
Although I
Alaska
have
either.
seen great blue herons in Haines.
Yeah.
There's one down in Seward right now.
Seriously, awesome.
Yeah.
in
Wasn't
William
there
Sound.
one at Potter's Potter Marsh here a year or two ago?
Yeah, I saw that, but my daughter was down there yesterday before yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've seen him in Prince William Sound a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen them in Potter Marsh.
yeah.
Yeah. I think there was a report a year or two ago that there was one spotted at Potter Marsh. So
Yeah.
Speaking of eagles, I couldn't believe it when I saw it, but it's true. The folks at McLaren River Lodge along the Denali Highway had these clear pictures of a stellar sea eagle
huh.
that was there. You know, Asiatic bird that you see out in the western Aleutians,
Yeah.
sitting in a poplar tree along the Denali Highway.
Wow.
Cool.
Spring next.
Whose pictures are these, Alan?
Like
They're
Jackie
still
Sawyer?
still
Oh, they're-
Arnie's, I believe.
Okay.
Nice.
And Colin Tyler, are you on it still online? Colin?
Mm.
He was online earlier. These are Colin Tyler's photos now. Great owl pictures.
He says he's here. Colin, you can unmute and talk about the images if you'd like.
Yeah, is Colin on us on the online?
He says he's here.
Yeah. Colin, can you unmute?
We can't find his profile.
Yeah.
He's working on it.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, I couldn't see my image. Or okay. Yeah, okay, thank you. I'll be quick. These are at the Eagle River Nature Center.
Okay.
This was taken last spring. It's a great horned owlet. I don't know if anybody heard, but last month, if you listen to KSKA Hometown Alaska, I was a guest on a program about owls with Kathleen McCoy. And so I discussed some of the owl photos I've taken out here. And anyway, this was last spring. I see a lot of owls out here. By the way, I live and work here at the center.
Okay.
So I get a lot of wonderful opportunities like this. So, and that's the same owlet a little bit later. It was still pre-flight, wasn't flying yet, but they were sharing a snowshoe hare. It's right under the mother right there.
Yeah.
All right.
When did they have their chicks?
I believe they hatched probably in April.
Okay.
I didn't start seeing this one until probably late May, and watched it for quite a while as it developed before it started taking flight. So last year's theme was kind of owls, double rainbows, and then lynx in that order. So this was taken last July at the center. And I actually have a nice vertical composition from this same spot that is my favorite rainbow image, and that's actually, it's being used by AT&T Alascom right now in their annual poster calendar.
Oh, I believe I've got that hanging up here. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do. It's behind me over here.
Cool. That's my image there.
All right.
Nice.
So they actually have the rights to that to the end of the year. So
Yeah. Yeah. I always try to get their calendars.
okay. Well, I was honored to make the calendar this year.
Yeah. Good deal. Well, I've got that. I'm hanging on my wall in here.
Okay, this was also taken last summer out here at the center. There was a sow black bear with 3 cubs, and at least one of them had a tendency to climb up on her back quite a bit. So, sawwit owlets. These are little baby sawwits. Also part of that same owl program with KSKA was a local volunteer named Andrew Fisher, who builds and maintains the owl boxes here and other places around Anchorage, including Kincaid. And actually, I went out with him to check the boxes for activity, and then went back following that with him and another biologist with the feds, and we banded 14 of the fledglings.
Was
So
this
these are 3? These are actually, of course, it was our first time out of the nest. They weren't flying yet, so we set them on the branch. So
was this
I
in
have
the
to admit
Anchorage
it was-
area or elsewhere?
That?
Was this in the Anchorage area?
Yeah, this is near the Eagle River Nature Center right here.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, we
Looks
banded
almost like southeast.
No, we banded, it was, yeah, the Nature Center last summer, and we banded 14 chicks out here, 14 fledglings.
They're so cute.
They are, absolutely. This is a brown bear looking for salmon, taken from the larger viewing deck here at the Nature Center. And this was last October, mother lynx with 2 kittens. And I watched them. She was very comfortable with me being there. I actually went to sleep for much of the time. But I watched them, observed them for about probably 2 hours. She was very comfortable. That's one of the kittens right there.
I like that.
Very cool.
I like the little tufts of hair on the tips of their ears.
Yeah, just growing
Sticking
its
up, yeah.
tufts. Yeah. Yeah, the kittens were a little skittish, like I said, but once in a while they would cuddle up next to mom, and very thick and dense undergrowth, as you would imagine, where they usually hang out. So it was kind of tough shooting to find a good spot.
Yeah.
Clear shot. And this was a different family of lynx shortly after that. A mother with 5 kittens crossing Eagle River just after it frozen. And the kittens were very timid, very sketched out about crossing the frozen river, maybe their first time crossing ice. They eventually made it across. It's another one there. Same day.
So cute.
That might be it.
I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys.